Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of my podcast, the FruityCast. I know I said in the last video, I said this was going to be a bi-monthly, bi-weekly sort of podcast. I honestly, I might just do it when it's just maybe it's just something that I do if I have enough topics to talk about. So it's really going to be whenever, but it will be posted around the same time, which is a Saturday. So depending on whether or not I have stuff to really talk about, that's probably when I'll do it. I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about today. It's not much in relation and related to news, just stuff that I saw and I wanted to talk about for a bit. But the stuff that I really wanted to get out of the way first is that I know that, again, in my first video, I said that this channel, the Fruity channel, which I'm going to use to post about, post my podcast and my video essays on certain types of media, those are going to be very less serious. It's mostly going to focus on that media alone. Sometimes I will broach heavier topics, but for the most part, it's just going to be that. But really, and this is it's nothing even really too big. It mostly just has to do with stuff that I done on my main channel. So my last video that I made had to deal with the controversy around the Assassin's Creed Shadows game and the main characters of that. And I must say, this might actually be one of the first videos that I ever considered deleting. Not on my take on it. I still very much stand by my take on it, but this video has essentially become a cesspool in the comments of just the worst people getting together, just repeating just repeating the same shit over and over and over again. If you want to check it out, I would check it out. But there's comment threads. I remember last checking the comments of this late last night before I went to bed, just to see if people were still talking. And from the look of it, they still pretty much are. There were people having whole ass arguments that were just constantly going. They had to have spent their entire day just on the comment section of my video. And that's just someone it's just fucking crazy. It seems to be slowing down somewhat. But even people that personally I would agree with when it comes to the people arguing about this. Jesus Christ. This is just too much. There are people who are still arguing today. I have no idea. And it's gone to the point usually when it comes to new videos of mine, they usually don't gain that much traction anyways because I am a much smaller YouTuber, very much smaller. But to me, it's just the thing of being I don't really check comments all that much. After a couple days, this might be, or probably I would say 3 days. This video came out 2 days ago. So today would probably be the last day I would check it because usually that's when, stuff, people will stop commenting as a whole. I'm sure they'll probably do so today. But it's just the first day that video went up, there wasn't really much traction. It had a couple tens of views. That was it. I think 60 maybe. And then it just kept it almost jumped instantly. And every other hour, it would just keep growing and growing and growing in terms of views and comments. It's probably my most disliked video. But at the same time, I don't really care because I know the people who are disliking this. The thing about and it also goes down to a lot of people, their argument in support of their argument of this being bad or whatever. It's just oh, the dislikes for the trailer are huge, but everyone knows what mass reporting is, mass disliking. It doesn't really hold any water when you have a whole community that will willingly go out of their way to dislike something. So arguing on that front is just pretty stupid, I'll be honest. And it's the same here. Like, these are probably people who would not give my channel a second chance if it wasn't about the fact that it's something that they care deeply for. They're just disliking it out of pure like motivation to hate on anyone who supports them using a historically black figure in this game. Like, just wild. And I don't. That's the thing. And I talked about this when I made my video about being on YouTube for a year. I don't really care about hate comments, and people trying to make it out be like, "Oh, you're getting ratioed. Oh, you suck." Like, dude, anything you said to me, I've said to myself before, and I'm still figuring this shit out. No YouTuber really blows up that much within a year unless they do something completely, you know, out of the like completely like left field, do something completely left field, like huge. And all I do is just talk to my like camera about news and shit like that. But I just don't get it. What else? But I just want to kind of get out of their way because it's like just so crazy. I don't get it. I don't get really like caring that much about one black dude being in the game. Like, it's just, ugh. I do have to pull up two of my favorite comments though. Let's see. Let me grab them real quick. Close the window. Oh, studio. And I'll probably show them in post just because like it's a little hard to show them with all the rest of them. Ah, fuck them. Might as well. Where is it? Okay. So this guy is just kind of telling on himself right now. So here we have Tom, we'll call him. So we are racist because we object to having women and blacks injected into every piece of media created, even if Euro, Japan, or Europe. Oh, fuck of leftist idiots. And I commented, I was like, this comment was held for review, and the only reason I improved it was because of how obviously stupid you are. Asking if you are a racist and then calling people, then calling black people the blacks is pretty telling. Like, bro, you just answer your own question. No one who isn't racist says that. And then he tries to do like some like all lives matter shit, being like, what a bunch of nonsense. I'd call white people whites in a similar circumstance. You would call them that. You're not calling them that though. He's like, I would call them that. It's easy to say that, but you literally just called them the blacks. Like you're a 1960s anti-civil rights activist, just being like, it's those damn blacks. And what's the other one? Just because like I'm someone when I like comment or just put anything out on the internet that is text form, I want it to look good so people understand where exactly my point is coming from. Like I'd constantly double check because I'm not the best at writing. So to me, it's just funny when people put something out like this that is just that just doesn't make any sense. I'm tired of you walk people when I'm tired of you walk people when every time we don't like something and then we don't like happens to have a main character who's black or later. Like, dude, for the love of God, and I love to comment, bro, go back to English class for the love of God. It's just, and there's even people like trying to defend it. Like, that's the thing. There's a few times I jumped in to try to defend some points, but at the end of the day, I don't I don't care about like wasting my breath on these people who just are never gonna change their minds because they're inherently racist. Just because they're inherently racist, like doesn't matter what I say, nothing's gonna change their minds. Like they're just all the same type of people, just constantly shouting the same points over and over and over again. Doesn't matter how many times they're proven wrong, but whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that for a bit. But now we're gonna get on to the actual topics that I wanted. Well, the other topics I wanted to talk about. Usually, I plan on just kind of using the earlier part outside of that other part that I was talking about to just say what's been going on in my personal life a bit. Um, well, no, like nothing too personal. I mean that what I talked about earlier was definitely a part of my personal life because like it's my fucking comment section and it's turned into a war zone that I just don't care enough to manage that at this point. Literally, that's the only reason I thought about deleting that video. It's just being like, I just don't want to deal with the comment section. That's it. Like if I could just turn them off, maybe I should probably find a way to do so. I would definitely like do it in a heartbeat. Like it's just annoying. But who knows? Maybe I'll look into that later. Um, but yeah, other stuff that goes on in my personal life. Really like again, nothing too personal. It's mostly just like stuff that I've been like media I've been absorbing is what I want to talk about. What am I watching? I haven't started Boy season 2 yet, but that's because I kind of like I'm taking a break to watch other shows. Well, at least one other show right now, and that's Demon Slayer. I have watched some of it, but then I stopped for a while just because I kind of like got busy and just didn't feel comfortable jumping back in. I'm rewatching now. I'm up to the part where he it's the first demon he fights once he becomes a demon slayer, the one that can like go underground. So I'm still very early on, and then once I'm done with the first season, I'm gonna go back to Boy season 2. I also watched the new episode of Go Go Loser Ranger yesterday, as well as the season premiere for My Adventures with Superman. Go Go Loser Ranger, still really good. I'm really enjoying it. Uh, I think we're definitely halfway through the series at this point. We have like 5 episodes left. I have read some of Go Go Loser Ranger, but I'm not like it was probably like the stuff that was covered in like the first 3 episodes. So I have no idea where it's gonna go at this point. Uh, then My Adventures with Superman season 2 kickstarted. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I like that it doesn't seem like they're very much continuing the story with a Kryptonian invasion. My only big problem with it is the Lois. And here's the thing: to me, it's not like such a radical character shift, and I am not in the same camp of people who was mad over the whole Lois getting mad at Clark thing in season 1 about his identity. I'm not in that camp, so I don't try to associate me with those people because those people had other motives to criticize Lois. But at the same time, and I get it's a whole like character arc about her being very manipulated by her dad in a way, and I do think that that's at the end of the day, I think I'm gonna look back on it and still enjoy it. To me, it just feels like I mean, I don't know. The more that I think about it, the more I can kind of see it. Like as someone who, again, not trying to get too personal, has problems with a parent figure who was manipulative, not to the extent of Sam Lane, but like it is, it does act like it will cause you to act irrationally sometimes, even in a very dramatic way from like one shift to another. But just like how she treats Clark in like these sort of scenarios, again, I think it's all gonna be a part of her like character growth, of her like overcoming her father's like attitude and manipulation. But we'll see. I hope they handle it well. But it definitely did not make me a big fan of her during the start of the season, especially because like she knows he's super. Okay, I won't get into. I almost like said a spoiler, so I won't get into it because it's still pretty new. So I'm gonna keep it spoil. Actually, no. How about this? I'll put up a timestamp of when I'm done talking about spoilers for My Adventures with Superman. So I'll just put it right up here. And I'll give you a countdown just to let you know that spoilers are incoming. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, so at the end when Lois volunteers for her father, Sam Lane, to stay with Clark and Jimmy, she knows he's Superman. Why would she think that's ever a good idea? Why don't just say, hey, how about you just get an apartment in Metropolis that like is somewhat close to me? I get it's supposed to build up the drama, if he will ever find out if Clark is Superman, but it's like, and I get it, it's like a thing of like family manipulation, shit like that. Like even though Sam's not doing it willingly, it's not like he's manipulating her into letting him stay with Clark. It's more um like his treatment of her is leading her to act kind of irrationally in this scenario. But it's like, just use your brain for like, oh, please, like your dad's a dick. I'm sorry, but your dad's a terrible person. You really just need to learn that at this point. Why have him partner up with a guy that you know does not like him? Like this guy, your father literally kidnapped this man that you love, and you're still like, Clark, you're being a dick to my father who kidnapped you and threatened to torture you and shit. And also like the whole thing of her being like, oh, you shouldn't find that other Kryptonian. Like we know there's bad Kryptonians out there. Just not listening to him at all, even though like he never gets to tell her what his father told him about their like being like, yeah, there's bad like you and Kara are the only ones left. We know he's wrong though, because we know Zod is coming. But like at the same time just being like it's very much it's very much like Clark, you're one of the good ones, if you know what I'm saying there. Like, yeah, like you might be Kryptonian, and I see Kryptonians as these warmongering people who I never met before, but you're one of the good ones. Oh god. Uh, Again, hopefully they do, this character arc with her very well. Um, but they might. Who knows? They could fumble the landing of it. Uh, I don't really care for Jimmy's arc. I do like the whole idea of him being a billionaire and him just slowly eating away the money that he has, because that's very much like early like Silver Age Jimmy stories. Like he's just he finds himself in these ridiculous situations, and you never know when it's all gonna end. But I don't really care for like them putting the Newsboy Legion and Ron in there. Not Ron, what's his name? Steve Lombardi. Um, like I don't really care for that all that. Like I just wish it was Jimmy. It's just like adding too many characters into one scene sort of thing. I like the design of Atomic Skull. Atomic Skull looks cool. Damage is apparently in it. If you don't know who Damage is, he's basically DC's Hulk. But he looks nothing like actual Damage. But whatever. Don't really care all that much. What else? I think that's really it. Kara hasn't even showed up yet, so we'll see. She'll probably show up halfway through the series, honestly. What else? I already talked about Go Go Loser Ranger. I already talked about Invincible. I'm reading through Invincible right now. I just recently got the third compendium, the omnibus. The now actually have the complete series, so I'm just gonna read all of that in one go. I just finished up the. I think it would be the third volume. I'm pretty sure. Like it's right when Omni Man beats the shit out of him and leaves. So now we're getting to the next part of the saga. But I love Invincible. I have read the first one, so I read like the first 50 issues. I read most of the second one, and then it. To me, I always had this habit of like getting busy, so I never finish the stuff I'm getting into. I've been pretty consistent lately on that, so hopefully that continues. But it just really came down to like scheduling. Um, but now like I think I got in like a good uh pattern going when it comes to stuff like that. So I know like most of the Invincible story. Some of the later parts I'm probably not that familiar with, at least like within that first half, because it was when I was starting to get busy. So like I wasn't paying attention sometimes, or probably not enough attention. And it has been a while. It's been like over a year since I tried to read through all of it. This one I'm very set on reading through all of it, so we'll eventually get there. But again, I'm just really enjoying it. Um, yeah, I mean, it's very different from the show. Like, if you really like the show, I would go out of your way to read the comic. Maybe not get the omnibuses like I do, even though they are pretty cheap compared to a lot of omnibuses that have like the same level of issues and quality. But I would definitely, I believe they're actually doing new editions of the trade paperbacks, and the trade paperbacks are I think I haven't seen the pricing for the new ones, but I remember the old ones being pretty cheap. But with inflation, that was a while ago. I got like the first two trade paperbacks a long time ago. But I would definitely check it out. Like it takes a departure from the comic in some instances. Like when the show starts, it takes itself pretty seriously from the start. With the comic, it's pretty light-hearted for the most part until you get to the end of the second volume, in which Omni-Man slaughters all of them. And unlike in the show, where they draw it out with like a big fight, in the comic it's just takes them all out, just rips heads off. Uh, But yeah, like in the comic, everything is pretty fast, and with the show, they draw it out. Like the relationship between Amber and Mark in the comic is so much different than in the show. And I understand with the show they have to like create drama, get people invested to watch the next episode. But in the comic, I like it better because it's handled way better. It's handled with like a level of maturity of just being like, yeah, this isn't really working, so we're just gonna break up. It's just I enjoy that way better, but I understand with the show that you want to, up the drama, up the ante. But it's just I kind of I think that's the good thing about them kind of going away from the comic is that it allows the comic to be its own thing, and I just really love what they're doing. I still love the show, even though I haven't seen season two yet. Um, but I'm enjoying this revisit to the comic. Again, I'm still at the early parts, so we'll see. But if it's anything about how I felt about it when I first read it, it's there's probably not going to be that much of a change. Anyways, let's move on to the next topic. The new Ultimate Marvel Universe, which has come out like months ago, but uh, I've been reading through it, like with all the issues. I'm caught up on Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm caught up on Ultimate. Well, I'm almost caught up. I'm one issue away from Ultimate Black Panther, Ultimate X-Men. The Ultimates are supposed to be coming out, I believe, next month. And I'll definitely be watching. Well, not watching. I'll definitely be reading that. I didn't even read like the stuff that came before these like solo titles. I didn't. I read the first issue of Ultimate Invasion, and that was it. And I didn't even read Ultimate Universe, even though I heard that it was better at like setting up the universe. But I just kind of jumped in, and honestly, I'm really enjoying it. I knew the base knowledge, so I wasn't like no unaware of what was going on. But ultimately, I'm enjoying it. Honestly, I think it's like the best jumping off point for anyone like getting into it. Obviously, there's a lot of backstory that you will have to know, but luckily, I think Hickman um, does really good with like the opening pages because I can imagine that he plays like at least like the writers do a good job like telling you about the world as it's going on. What else? I mean, that's really all I wanted to talk about it. I think it's a lot better just right out of the gate than the old Ultimate Marvel Universe because I feel like there's at least some planning going on here with the originals. I feel like you, it was kind of just all over the place. Nothing was really consistently good outside of Spider-Man. Um, there's also the Vision show that got confirmed that's getting worked on, and I don't know why they're just. I do not care enough to see a Vision show. Like I don't even like hate the Vision character in the MCU. I just don't care enough to watch a show solely about him. Like I like his dynamic with Wanda, so I would have. So that's why I watched WandaVision, and I do like the Scarlet Witch as a character. I don't really care that much about Vision though. Like, what would his series be about? Um, uh, but like, again, we're still getting that Agatha show. Can you guys not wait for that Agatha show? Ugh, I don't understand how they can now have two of the biggest properties that they haven't had for a long time, X Men and Fantastic Four, and just not really do much of them, like much with them until now. Like we're finally getting Fantastic Four, with a lot of stuff. I have high hopes for that movie. Hopefully, it delivers somewhat. I'm not like, if it doesn't meet my expectations, I'm not gonna be disappointed. But like, I with what they're promising us in terms of the casting of who's gonna be in the movie, it's setting my expectations high. I had to say, but like, we got X-Men '97, which was great, but like, no live action like movie announced, nothing related outside of Deadpool and Wolverine. And here's the thing, I can't wait for Deadpool and Wolverine. I will see that movie many times when it comes out. But just like, something else. Give us some more. Or at least just, hey, we're doing an X-Men movie. But I could also see them, like, I think after Secret Wars, they're cleaning the slate. They're starting fresh. And whether that's bringing old actors back to be characters again, like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Evans as Captain America, I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm gonna be honest. I think they're just gonna kind of do a refresh. Like, okay, we got all the properties back now. We still gotta deal with Sony with Spider-Man, and that's gonna be a pain. And that's something I do plan on talking about later in this podcast. But you have all the properties now. You can do whatever you want. And by the time they had those properties, they got rid of most of their original lineup. So it's going to be interesting what they do now. The way that I see it, I think they're just going to reboot after Secret Wars or like soft relaunch a little bit. But yeah, we'll probably get like a fresh reboot, and then like everything that happens from onwards, like we'll get a Fantastic Four in modern day, an X-Men in modern day, Avengers in modern day, and they all exist at the same time. But who knows? Apparently, they're also doing a Spider-Man 4. I'll believe it when I see it, because at this rate, it's just like, I honestly think that it's just I honestly don't think there will be a Spider-Man 4 before Secret Wars comes out. It would be nice if Sony doesn't fuck with it too much, because apparently Kevin Feige and Tom Holland are the ones who want to do a street level character Spider-Man, which is what they should be doing. But, and this is just all hearsay, but like, Sony very much wants to play into the multiverse aspect, which I do believe is the case, because like, we saw that with Morbius for no reason. We fucking like their best Spider-Man movies, like there's like Sony Sony Spider-Man movies, not teamed up with Marvel Studios for the MCU. Their best Spider-Man movies are the Spider-Verse ones. So yeah, they're probably gonna focus on the multiverse more because they know that that makes them money, despite the fact that people just like the movies because they're good movies, not because they're multiverse movies. But like, just a hassle. Speaking of Spider-Man, Spider Gwen has a new single, like a new solo series right now, and she is permanently in Earth 616, despite the fact that a large portion of what made her interesting was the fact that she was in her own universe. But no, let's ruin that so we can put her in the main one now. It's just, Marvel just hates Spider-Man, I guess. I honestly have a feeling like what they're doing now with Spider-Man is what they're trying to is what they used to do with like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four back when Fox had the properties, which is just make them like a toxic brand so much to the fact where they have to give it back to us. But that's not what happened with Fox, and I hope they realize that. Like, the thing with Fox is that they just gave up on like all of their properties over there. Just wanted to focus on, the news. They wanted to get rid of all their entertainment stuff, so they sold it to Disney. And then I'm like, unless Sony just doesn't find any value with their entertainment stuff, which they probably never will, because that's all they do. Outside of like TV shit like that, their electronics base. I don't see that happening. Um, but yeah, with Marvel Sony, it's just, I mean, we still have what is it, Venom, Last Dance, and Craven the Hunter is supposed to come out this year. We'll see how that works. We'll definitely see how that goes. It's just those movies are so fucking terrible, and the reason I say that is because I just got around to watching Madam Web, and that's why I wanted to talk about this, because I did not see it when it came out on opening night. I refused to see it, but I was like, I'm really bored this weekend. I was kind of taking like, a break. I've been working a lot at my actual job. So I was just like, I'm just gonna take a break this entire weekend. I'll come back on Monday. I'll stream, I'll do the podcast, talk about news, whatever. And I was just kind of scrolling through movies to watch, and I saw Madam Web. And then I was just like, fuck it, I'll watch this. Let's see how bad it really is. And it was so fucking bad. I regretted seeing it right away. I literally had to take a break right in the middle of it of just being like, should I just watch something else? And I did. I later came back to it so I could finish it just to be like, just to solidify in my head that it is a terrible movie. So, I kind of balanced it out. I like watched the first half of Madam Web and then I watched Bullet Train because I love Bullet Train. It's one of my favorite movies. It's great, and it was such a palate cleanser from the first half of Madam Web. And then after the second half, I had to watch something else. So I just bought Wayne's World on Amazon Prime because I was like, apparently it's not on any streaming platform right now, and I love Wayne's World. I have it on DVD, but I don't have a DVD player available. I do have my PS5, but it's connected to my PC. I didn't want to sit at my desk, shit like that. And it was really cheap anyway, so I was like, fuck it, I'll buy it. Wayne's World. Let's watch that. Which is like, again, which is also one of my favorite movies of all time. But outside of that, I mean, that's all I really wanted to talk about. Just kind of shotgun a lot of that topic. Just a lot. Again, this podcast, for the most part, it's just going to be me just firing off random shit that's in my head. Just stuff I want to talk about. So I want to thank you all for joining me. I'll see y'all in the next one.